Hello, I'm Dr. Carol Archer, and I'm the creator of the Culture Bump Toolkit for Culture and Communication. And I'd like to tell you a bit about it. The toolkit emerged from a course that was developed over 40 years ago at the University of Houston for international and American students. And that's why in the toolkit, many of the examples that you'll encounter have to do with national or multinational cultural differences. It's because those are real life encounters. The other reason that those examples are used is that they allow us to understand the process by which we human beings sometimes connect and sometimes culture bump and break apart. And it does that because the differences between national cultures are very obvious. It is clear to see the difference between Japanese culture and American culture. But once we understand the processes by which we connect or disconnect and the reasons why we connect and disconnect, then we can apply those same processes to the many more subtle cultures that we encounter every day. The things, little identity groups, for example, like family composition, the region that we come from, ethnicity, whether we come from rural or urban areas, with our students, whether or not they're athletes or theater kids, SES back differences, even things like being the oldest child, the middle child, or the youngest, or an only child. Certainly learning style differences. And so we can apply it with all of those identity groups that sometimes connect and sometimes disconnect. By using this culture bump approach, the toolkit has been used over the last 30 years in trainings from school districts from New York City to New Mexico, in business organizations and in nonprofits. While you are learning about this approach to cross-cultural communication, I invite you to think about how you might adapt some of these concepts and activities to your own classroom. One thing you can do is to adapt some activities is to check out the website www.culturebump.com for some free suggestions there. One is to go to products and go to the app, the Culture Bump app. This is a free download that has classroom behaviors in 27 countries around the world. There's also a link on the app itself that gives you instructions on how to use the app in a classroom that has students from different cultural backgrounds, as well as in a classroom that has students from the same background. Under the tools, there is the 8-step online tool. This allows you to analyze a culture bump, go through the 8 steps and analyze the culture bump with tips for each of the 8 steps that you could use either for yourself or for students if it were appropriate. And then there's the universal generator, in which they're, again, based on some universal human qualities that we all share, so that we could generate creative. Name a time that you have been creative and an example of something someone has done that you think shows a lack of creativity. Or frugal. Name a time that you have been frugal and a time that you have been a spendthrift. These types of conversation are what we call conversations for connection. So these are some of the tools that you might use in your classroom. But this toolkit is really for you, for your own personal and professional development. And speaking to that, here is one of your fellow educators, Ms. Portia Franklin, speaking about her experience of being trained with activities from the toolkit about Culture Bump.
So Culture Bump really spoke to me because it made me focus on my perspective of things, and it honestly made me change my way of viewing perspectives as far as other people's perspectives, my perspective when you're looking at a situation. So my walk away was, everybody doesn't think like I think. Everybody, we're not all the same. My hope is that we can all just become more open to understanding other people, become more open about learning how other people think and respecting their values. And it's all about respect.
The Culture Bump approach respects your vision of a better world. The toolkit gives you tools and knowledge to achieve that vision. And now, here is a somewhat younger version of myself to introduce you to your toolkit.